A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahilladzi la yadurru ma'asmihi syai'un fil ard wala fis sama' wa huwas samiul alim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahil-kafi, bismillahil-mu'afi, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Allahumma aftah alaina hikmataka wa anshur alaina min khazaini rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. And how are you everybody? So now you are listening to the next topic which related to this particular subject, public speaking, AAD3193, and this is topic number 2. And I hope that you can refer to Lucas' textbook, The Art of Public Speaking, in chapter 3, and the title of our lecture today is Listening. So these are the learning outcomes. I hope that at the end of the lecture, inshallah, everybody is having the capability to, number 1, explain the difference between hearing and listening. There are several different terms, related to hearing or listening, but which one we need to use for public speaking, either hearing or listening? Which one is more serious in terms of getting information through our ears? Then you need to know how to differentiate between hearing and listening. Number 2, I hope that you will be able to define the 4 different kinds of listening and then explain their relationship to critical thinking. Number 3, I hope that you can explain why good listening is important to effective speech making. Number 4, I hope that you can identify the 4 major causes of poor listening. There are several causes why we cannot listen carefully and why we interpret some important information wrongly because of the poor listening. And the last one, I hope that you can discuss the 7 ways to become a better listener presented in the text. Now, let us look into the meaning of hearing. When talking about hearing, according to scholars, hearing is the biological process which occurs when the brain detects sound waves. So this is the mechanism, this is the process of hearing. Number 1, we can see here, sound waves are focused by the pinna and enter the ear canal. Pinna is cuping telinga lah. And then the sound which has been focused by the pinna will enter the terowong ataupun the ear canal. Alright. And then when the sound waves entered the ear canal, the second process is the eardrum vibrates. The eardrum here vibrates. And number 3, the vibrations by the eardrum are passed on by the anvil, hammer and stirrup. There are 3 bones inside our ears. We have the anvil, the hammer and stirrup. So the vibrations that we got from the ear canal vibrates in the eardrum, and then the 3 bones of anvil, hammer and stirrup will get the vibrations passed through them. And then the 4th step is in the cochlea. Ni macam ubat nyamuk ni kan, yang spiral ni kan. So the cochlea, in the cochlea, vibrations are changed into electrical messages. And then these electrical messages, number 5, these electrical messages, alright, will be passed through the auditory nerve. Okay, and then it's been transformed into messages to the brain, right? So when we we started with sound waves, okay, focused by the pinna and then enter the ear canal, and then the eardrum vibrates, tang, 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 and then the third step is the vibrations are passed on by the three bones, okay, in our ears, the anvil, hammer and syrup. And then in the cochlea, ubat nyamuk, vibrations are changed into electrical messages. And then the fifth process is the auditory nerve passes the electrical message to the brain. As an additional information here, we can see here, okay, semicircular canals are for balance, our body balance, okay. So sometimes we feel imbalance, okay, it means that there might be some problem with our semicircular canals in our ears. Okay, let's continue with the meaning of listening. So just now, hearing is as simple as when the brain detects sound waves. But the process, we got 5 steps, okay, in the process of the waves to be transformed into electrical messages just now. Okay? So now, what about listening? So listening is the process of receiving, attending to, constructing meaning from, and responding to spoken or non-verbal messages. Okay? For example here, okay, when there is one, what we call as sound wave, sound wave, and the sound wave sounded like this, Dr. Nizam Chomel. Okay, so the wave going through our pinna ni tadi, okay, cuping telinga, and then enter our ear canal, Dr. Nizam Chomel, okay, and so on sampailah, okay, until the wave transform to be electrical messages tu, okay. So listening is the process of receiving the information, okay, through the sound wave, okay, Dr. Nizam Chomel, and then attending to, we are trying to focus on the sound wave and the electrical message just now, Dr. Nizam Chomel. And then we're constructing meaning from. So it means that we try to transform the meaning of the words, the sounds, okay, Dr. Nizam Chomel, okay. And then we try to construct the meaning through our experience. What is the meaning of Chomel? What is the meaning? Who is Dr. Nizam, and so on. And then responding to spoken or non-verbal messages. Okay, responding to spoken means the sounds, okay, been created by words, okay, through someone's mouth, or non-verbal messages, maybe some music, okay, or somebody who knocked the desk or the door, and so on. Alright, so that's listening. It is more than the mechanical process here. It is more than that, because we are receiving, we are attending to, we constructing meaning from, and we responding to the spoken or non-verbal messages, Dr. Nizam Chomel. And then at the end of the process, we respond. Oh, I cannot brain this. I cannot accept the fact, kan? Dr. Nizam is not Chomel, for instance. Oh, Dr. Nizam is really cute. Okay, I agree. That's the idea. Okay, next. We move on to listening. Again, so listening means paying close attention to and making sense of what we hear. Okay, we paying close attention to what we hear, and then we making sense of what we hear. For instance, emergency, fire, emergency, fire. So we try to paying close attention to that message, okay? Fire, emergency, and then we make sense. Okay, kita cuba memberi makna. Oh, fire means there are some fire maybe inside our house. Emergency means kecemasan. We need to get out from the house or to get some help from our friends and so on to call 911 or whatsoever, 994 or whatsoever. Okay. So that's the conception of listening. Okay. So which one is needed for public speaking? Is it hearing or is it listening? So we will discuss this later. Okay. But what do you think? Which one is more important? Hearing or listening? And then, which one is needed for public speaking? Hearing or listening? Next, communication is the process of creating shared meaning. I have shared with you about this in our previous lectures. So, communication is the process of creating shared meaning. Okay, a meaning and information with a meaning, a message with meaning. We try to share it with other persons. For communication to be effective, the speaker must present the message clearly and compellingly. Equally important, however, is that the listener understands and accurately remembers what was said. Then we can say that the communication is effective there. Okay, the message being spoken out clearly by the encoder, the one who give the message. And then equally important, the listeners or the decoder, the person who do the decoding process, understands and accurately remembers what was said. According to scholars, listening is important because 50% or more of our time in communication is spent listening. Effective listening is a key to success in most occupations. To be an effective communicator, you must understand and practice effective listening skills. Next, there are several types of listening. One of the ways listening can serve you is by enhancing skills as a critical thinker by identifying these kinds of listening. So according to Lucas, there are 5 types of listening: appreciative listening, discriminative listening, comprehensive listening, emphatic listening, and critical listening. It seems that each of these types or categories of listening has its own degrees of importance in public speaking. So which one of these is the most important thing, the most important type of listening, okay, so that a public speaking session can be a very good one? Let us go one by one. Appreciative listening. What is appreciative listening? According to Lucas, in an appreciative listening situation, your goal is simply to enjoy the thoughts and experiences of others. Appreciate, menghargai. So it means that we simply want to enjoy the thoughts and experiences of others. What is the example of appreciative listening? Maybe in the session of conversation between us and our friends, for instance, or we are listening to radio, okay, and so on. So these are the examples for appreciative listening. Next, discriminative listening. In this kind of listening, our goal is to understand the speaker's meaning conveyed in other ways than the words themselves. For instance, when the speaker use non-verbal cues. For example, when one of our friends tells us, "Dear Aminah, I really love you, Aminah. I really love you as my friend." So, discriminative listening is the process of listening to the words or sounds or the message, the verbal message given by our friends just now. But it is not complete without looking into other ways than the words themselves. So it means that when we listen to that sentence, Amina, I really love you as my friend. So we are looking into the other messages given by the non-verbal cues, such as the face mimic, the smile, maybe, okay, the hug by the hands of the sayer, the hands of the speaker, okay, and so on. So this is discriminative listening. Okay, next, comprehensive listening. In comprehensive listening, our goal is to understand, to remember, and then recall what has been said. In a comprehensive listening, it means that maybe we are in a lecture, for instance, in a very important meeting, for instance. So we are doing what we call as understanding the messages given by others, remembering, and then we recalling what has been said by anybody in the session or in the context. So this is comprehensive listening, menyeluruh, mendengar secara menyeluruh. Next, we call it as emphatic listening. In emphatic listening, our goal is to be a sounding board to help another sort through feelings. Okay, our goal is to be a sounding board. When we listen to others, okay, it's a kind of we are giving our ears to the one who are giving the message. Okay, maybe we are having a friend, okay, who were involved in some mishaps, okay. So he or she meet us and try to tell everything about his or her problem. So we are doing emphatic listening when we are going to be the sounding board in order to help our friend just now to sort through his or her feelings. Next, what we call as critical listening. So what is critical listening? It is a kind of listening to evaluate a message for purposes of accepting or rejecting it. For instance, we are listening to maybe a speech given by a politician, a speech given by a representative of workers or a representative of our bosses when we are working. So critical listening is the process of lending our ears 100% in order to give the chance to ourselves to evaluate the message given by the speaker for the purpose of accepting his or her premises, his or her words, or his or her stand, or rejecting it. So this is critical listening. So again, we are having five types. We have 5 types of listening. Okay, we have appreciative listening, discriminative listening, comprehensive listening, emphatic listening, and last but not least, critical listening. Okay, next, we are looking into how we want to improve our listening skills. There are a lot of tips given by good speakers or scholars in communication. So as Lucas shared in his textbook, effective listening is a complex process made up of 5 steps. Number 1, attending, followed by understanding. Number 3, remembering, followed by evaluating, and the last one is responding to the message. Attending means paying attention to what the speaker is saying regardless of extraneous interferences. So this is what we call as attending, memberi fokus. We are giving focus, we are giving full attention towards the speaker, regardless of any interferences happened while we are listening. Next is to improve our listening skills, we need to have the understanding. It is the ability to assign accurate meaning to what was said. So, understanding, comprehending. So, it is the same term. So, sometimes we may not fully understand a speaker's message. Why? Because the speaker uses unfamiliar words or complex concepts, and sometimes we might miss the emotional intent of the message. So some speakers, they might have their own jargon, words which are specific to a certain field. Okay, metamorphosis, what else? Medulla oblongata, and so on. Trachea, esophagus, and so on. So when we are listening to those speech, maybe when we are listening to those speeches, so when there are a lot of jargons, it will reduce the capability of understanding the speech given by the speaker at that time. So, we need to increase the level of our understanding skill, okay, so that we have the ability to understand, to translate the meaning to what was said by the speaker. And then, according to Lucas, to improve our listening skills is by remembering. Remembering is being able to retain and recall information we have heard in our mind. Next is by evaluating. Alright, so evaluating is critically analyzing what is said to determine its truthfulness, utility, and trustworthiness. Critical analysis is especially important when the speaker expects you to believe, to support, or to act on what was said. If we don't critically analyze what we hear, we risk going along with ideas that violate our values. So that's evaluating. We need to put on our justification while we are listening, so that we can segregate between what is important to us, what is the message that we need to follow, and then we need to also discriminate which messages that we cannot accept it, we just leave it, okay, we are not following it, and so on. So that's one of the ways how we want to improve our listening skills, by having the evaluating skill. And then the last one is responding. Okay, responding is providing feedback to the speaker about what is being said. Okay, whether we are agreed with the speaker on his speech, or we have any disagreement, we give our own idea why we are having the disagreement with the speaker's message. So this is what we call as responding. No matter if it is positively, if it is a positive response or negative response, as long as we want to improve our listening skills, we need to put in the skill of responding. So there are several causes of poor listening. Okay, according to scholars, those 4 causes are: number 1, not concentrating. While we are listening, we are not giving our minds at that time. We are having our body only there, but our souls and our minds are not there in the platform. So it means that we are not concentrating. This always happen to anybody, especially my students previously. They are having their lecture, they came to my class, they came to my lecture hall, but only their body, okay, their heads, their minds, and everything is not there. So this is the power of concentration. You want to improve your listening skills, it means that you need to have the concentration skill. And then number 2, there are somebody who listen too hard. Means that they are giving too much focus until they are too critical, so that they cannot really accept everything being conveyed, being said by the speaker. So this is the weakness of listening too hard. Number 3, jumping to conclusion. Yes, we always have this kind of mind. We listen to a speech, maybe for that speech lasts for 30 minutes, but we only the speech for about 5 minutes only because we think that we got everything. Okay, we simply jump to conclusion. And number 4, we are focusing on delivery and personal appearance. We are looking not into the message given by the speaker, rather we are looking into the appearance of the speaker. So this is one of the causes of poor listening. Maybe the speaker is not as handsome or as pretty as we thought. So the message or the speech title or the speech contents are about how to beautify ourselves. Okay, so when we are having our focus only on the personal appearance, then we will have poor listening because we have put block into our minds. Okay, or this person want to tell us about how to use all the cosmetics, but then he or she is not presentable, selekeh, serabai, and so on. So this is what we call as focusing on personal appearance, or focusing on delivery. Okay, maybe the person try to deliver good things, but because of the person's disability of maybe saying word R. Okay, for instance, some of us, we cannot spell R correctly. R. We want to go there and rate that person, for instance. We want to go there and buy some carrot. So we are focusing on the delivery weaknesses, not the contents. So this is one of the causes of poor listening. So guidelines to be a better listener, you can read more from Lucas' textbook. Okay, among others are be an active listener, resist distractions. Okay, we focus on the contents. Okay, not the person's appearance. Okay, the speaker's appearance. And then don't be diverted by appearance or delivery. Suspend judgment. Okay, don't put initial judgment. Okay, a person might want to share with you how to speak in front of others, but you look into his capability to speak in front of you. So please, this is what we call as judgment. Okay, so please suspend, throw it away. Okay, suspend your judgment, focus your listening, and then improve note taking skills. So by having that guidelines, we end up our lecture here on listening. I hope that you can read more from Lucas' textbook, as what I had shared with you just now is only among small little things, maybe small little things compared to what Lucas had presented in his book. So let us say Alhamdulillah, and then let us end up this lecture by Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.